early 70s, left as a very young man, and have consistently done my part in giving back. So tonight, I want to talk about this district that I grew up in versus the one that you're now surviving in. We had a true community where we were truly our brother's keeper.
That's right.
When our neighbor built his or her home, we all were there to help. When we were mischievous as kids, we knew not to do so near certain neighbors' homes, as it would surely result in a beating. And Lord knows, I hated Teacher Aurelia's belt. My Anguilla was one where everyone on the island had access to great health care and really had to leave the island for any medical issue. The Anguilla I grew up in, we played a major role in each other's successes. Whether it was success in education, sports, or business. Those were the days when I watched women like Gatha proudly walk the valley road up to the park along with most of our community to support her son Ras Bucket. I remember watching Alec in North Valley, we would call him Fat, along with the contingent of my community, walk the valley road to the start of every bicycle race to see Lotson continue to win and win again. I remember clearly John T. being a true stalwart in my community, one who you could count on through good or bad times. That left an indelible impression on me as a young man, that we have to support our own. The Anguilla I grew up in, most of us didn't have fathers present in our lives, but we had extremely tough mothers who did yeoman's work. We also had strong men in our community that made sure that we stayed out of trouble and tried to help us advance. In this community, Emmanuel Webster was that man for many of us. We affectionately called him Dad. And he carried out that role proudly in our community. I would be remiss if I didn't point out John Benjamin, who changed my life and several other young men in my community by sending us to Camp Dudley in upstate New York. That is the Anguilla I grew up in. It was all about one thing: community, community, community. Now, what has changed? The politics of greed. The politics of greed has entered Anguilla and has totally destroyed the fabric of our society, where politicians no longer want to do the hard work in winning an election. They show their lack of skill and complete disregard for the community by utilizing money as a weapon to keep their supporters in line. Where those supporters would stop at nothing to destroy their own fellow Anguillians to make sure the gravy train continues. Now, I've listened to the voice notes, the false news, and have received the voice recordings being spread about individuals running for election and their supporters, including myself, which is now having the opposite effect of what they were trying to create. They've said some dastardly things about me. But I will tell you, I've never been arrested or convicted of a crime, as members of the incumbent party has suggested. I came from the generation where we would never bring shame on our parents.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
When I was ringing the bell on the New York Stock Exchange for probably 20 times for companies I helped to create, or speaking to former presidents of the United States to garner help for Anguilla, it wasn't publicized. You didn't help me get to the top of the mountain. But you've decided, the incumbent party, to attempt to bring me to the bottom of the mountain. My business is the most litigious business in the world. Frivolous lawsuits happen every day. They've alleged that I've been involved in a $4 million lawsuit. But coming from being homeless on the streets of New York to where I am today, being managing director of a New York investment bank, is a success story. Anguilla, I am not weak. Neither do I sing for my supper. I cannot and will never be bullied into being quiet. I left Anguilla. My mom and dad paid for my education. As I said, I was homeless on the streets of New York. And the strength that I gained as a young man in Anguilla has allowed me to be a success today.
That's right.
And when I say success, most people think about money. But for me, it's about the lives that I can touch. That's what success means to me. And I will tell you right now, if you thought that I would be silenced, you got another thing coming. It ain't happening. I have invested in the youth of Anguilla for the last 20 years. There hasn't been any community event in Anguilla, and in particularly this district, that I haven't been a significant silent contributor of. With the formation of the Anguilla Youth Sports Foundation, the brainchild of myself, Brent Warner, Javier Brooks, and Courtney Moulton, we played a major role in the introduction of sports tourism on this island. It cannot be debated, it's a fact. Where it became commonplace for our children every summer for many years to participate in basketball camps hosted by every major NBA star, the likes of which have never been seen on any other Caribbean island. Anguilla, right now, has truly become a country where nepotism and victimization is the new tool of the political trade. Where you have to have a godfather to get ahead in Anguilla. Where when we get in positions of power, we forget about the ones we left behind and do everything in our power to make sure they're truly left behind. The new Anguilla is one that we are just surviving in. One where compassion and humility is truly lacking. That was driven home to me when, after the hurricane that devastated Anguilla, our elected officials and their supporters that are now comfortable with smear campaigns were nowhere to be found when you needed them the most. But today, they will visit your homes to campaign for a vote, but never made sure you had a bottle of water. I saw my mom reach out to organizations in Anguilla for water during that time. And an 89-year-old mother was told she needs to stand in line like everyone else. Where was the compassion?
Don't care, man.
This is an Anguilla where all lives don't matter. This community, as well as the rest of the island, have had so many young men being killed and maimed, and the plight of those families have never been addressed. This is why I stand before you today, and I am excited about the new turn Anguilla will be taking next year, because this change cannot wait. It cannot wait. The APM is a party for the community. where finally, Anguilla, you will have elected officials who truly care and will always be present in your community. Finally, Anguilla, your voice will be heard, good or bad. And they will be humble enough to listen and put a plan in place to make sure that your needs come first. Anguilla desperately needs a leader like Dr. Lorenzo Webster and the entire APM in power. And I will do every single thing that I can do to make sure that happens. Because I can tell you tonight, they woke up a sleeping giant. And I will be here every month. If it takes twice a month, I will be in Anguilla. This district needs a quiet force like Courtney Moulton, who has not only been an integral part of every endeavor I started on this island, but he has quietly been the backbone of many major community organizations on this island. And he's handled himself in a manner befitting your vote. Anguilla, I feel and I see a shift occurring. And change can't come fast enough. Thank you, Anguilla.
Thank you, Edward.